How is it going, everyone? It seems like coming out of the State of Play event, especially with the release date being announced, and I think for a lot of people it was a lot quicker, and it's coming a lot sooner than we had expected, but Stellar Blade has built a lot of momentum heading into its April 26th release date, and I could not be happier for the game. A new IP, it's coming soon, it looks fantastic, and let me, before I get into the core of this video, talking about the game length and the new information that has been picked up, let me just go back and say, that State of Play presentation for Stellar Blade, that is exactly how you do it. That's how you showcase a game that's 8 weeks away, by announcing its release date, by showing relevant gameplay, by presenting it in a way that's gonna resonate with people, that's gonna have interest in a game like that, with great music selection. It was just so well done, and hats off to everybody involved, including whoever produced that trailer, because let's be honest here, we have seen some garbage trailers recently, and some awful trailers that haven't gotten people excited, that haven't been structured the right way, shows that haven't been structured the right way. The PlayStation Showcase last June where Helldivers got snubbed, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown having a god-awful trailer debuting that game. I can go on and on, but whoever handled the promotion, the marketing, the production of that Stellar Blade trailer, along with announcing the release date when they did, hats off to everybody involved with that. I have to give credit where credit is due. I am sometimes overly critical, but what they did with Stellar Blade ignited a lot of interest in a game that is a new IP that, yes, it's gonna have some inherent interest as being a PlayStation 5 exclusive and for other reasons, but, you know, as far as getting people really excited for the game from a gameplay standpoint and what it's gonna bring to the table, hats off to what they accomplished at State of Play, whoever produced that trailer as well. The music selection for that trailer was excellent, which again, you contrast that to some other games in terms of music selection. That's important, guys. That is important, and you gotta know your audience, and I feel like with Stellar Blade, they did do that, and they got a lot of people that had a fringe interest in the game a lot more excited for the game, and now it's gonna be one of those games that a lot of people are excited to drop their $70 on, and that brings me to my next point. When I talk about Stellar Blade, I've been a little bit concerned. I'm not really concerned, but more so wondering, what is the length of this game gonna be? It's a fast-paced action RPG, and we saw a lot of the action gameplay, and I'm seeing this game in execution. I'm like, man, this looks like a lot of fun to play. How long is the game gonna last? It reminds me a lot of fast-paced action titles, of Bayonetta, a Devil May Cry, games like that. Those games are obviously on the shorter side, and I think, you know, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, those games are great, but if you're charging $70 for a game, I do think game length is gonna be at the helm of discussion, and it's just a topic that people are naturally gonna talk about. Well, it was noted as far as the length of the game goes, it'll be around 25 hours for the main story alone, and then if you are looking for 100% completion, that'll extend the game time to around 30 to 50 hours. 30 to 50 hours is quite the large range, and we had only heard 25 hours for the main story, so I am just going to speculate that it's gonna be around the 18 to 25 hour range, given that if a completionist run can be at minimum 30 hours, it makes sense that a main story run could be a little bit shorter than 25 hours. Like, 25 hours is probably at the higher end for just the main story. If 100%ing the game, the lower end is at 30 hours, if you guys get what I'm saying. But let's take a 18 to 25 hour range, a 20 to 25 hour range, around that range. I think that is a really good length for the game. Look, it's a fast-paced action RPG. I'm not expecting a game where the main story is going to be 40 to 50 hours. That's just not going to be the case for a game like this, but 20 to 25 hours to me is absolutely perfect for an action RPG like this, and again, you're gonna have side content that's gonna extend the length of the game, and hopefully there will be an element of replayability. Again, for me, I think it's much better to go into a game and have an experience that's worthwhile, not too short. I'm not saying release a $70 game that's 7 to 8 hours long, but, you know, 20 to 25 hours, that's a decent length, and if there's elements like a New Game Plus that's baked into it, or they add that sometime down the line, that'll be great, and I would rather a 20 to 25 hour experience that's all killer, less filler, than a 40 to 50 hour game that's bloated with a lot of additional content and things of that nature. We don't need that. Let's get into the thick of things and showcase why the game is great, and guess what? If it's 20 to 25 hours and it's all killer, less filler, then that's gonna be the type of game that people are gonna want to replay. You think people want to replay games that are 40 hours at length and then have a lot of padded out content? No, I would rather not do that. For me, I would rather a 20 to 25 hour game that if I want to go for the 100% run, you know, maybe 35 to 40 hours, and then if I did really enjoy the game, I'll replay it sometime down the line and I'll get even more value for my $70. On top of that, this isn't just a blanket statement. Some games are going to be great going 10 to 15 hours, other games are going to be great going 50 hours plus, but for a game like Stellar Blade, I don't think there's any reason to be upset for a 20 to 25 hour playthrough, even at $70. Like, games are going to get a little bit more expensive, and 20 to 25 hours is a decent campaign, especially because we've had campaigns back in the day, guys, that were 10 to 12 hours. Like, Bayonetta was a $60 release. 20 to 25 hours is a perfectly healthy number, and I think that is a really, really good amount of content to have in the game. We'll ultimately see how it does shake out in terms of when people start playing the game. I'm sure there are going to be people that complete the game in 13 to 16 hours. Like, that would not surprise me whatsoever, but you know, if a natural run where you're decent at the game, 20 to 25 hours I think is a perfect length, and we do know there's gonna be side content. How much that fleshes out the overall story and how worthwhile is that side content remains to be seen. Remember, Shift Up is a fairly new studio in terms of the big picture console market, so it's going to be interesting in how Stellar Blade is received on that end, and this is their first foray, so I will cut them some slack on that, but I could see this game, if it's at least fairly compelling. I'm not saying it's gotta be blow away game of the year or anything like that, but I could see Stellar Blade forming into an IP for PlayStation and Shift Up. I think this could be a compelling franchise, and it can develop into a franchise, and Eve can be an iconic video game character. Like, I don't need to spell out the obvious here, but I don't think it's all too much of a stretch to think that Eve can be a staple character going forward in gaming, and I could see that happening if Stellar Blade does do fairly well. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but I think how they just handled the rollout for the game, announcing the release date with that trailer, like, that's what you need to do. That's all I asked for. I'm so pessimistic these days with games getting delayed left and right, and some games, you know, turning out not so well. When I see something like Stellar Blade, the release date right around the corner, it's not getting lost soul aside, and the fact that they showcased it in such a great way, and it looks like there's some depth to the gameplay. It's gonna have a decent amount of content, a perfect amount, I would say, for a game like this at $70, and you're gonna have the option to go for a 100% run. That's gonna be 30 to 50 hours, and, you know, if the game at its core is good, if the gameplay is fun, I think people are gonna want to do that side content as well, and that's value. And ultimately, with so many games coming out, nobody is making you pay $70 for these games. So if a game is on the shorter side, like Suicide Squad, I had a buddy complete the game in 10 hours. You can make an argument that, hey, 10 hours is way too short for that game, but you don't have to buy these games at launch. You could wait for them to go on sale. I am gonna crap on, you know, $70 games doing egregious things like battle passes and whatnot, but we also know Stellar Blade's not gonna have a heavy monetization aspect to the game. Yeah, there's a deluxe edition, but it's a single player experience through and through, and there's gonna be unlockables and things like that, but it won't be gated like that. So I'm pretty excited for it. Hopefully it turns out well, and again, hopefully it can parlay into a franchise for PlayStation and Shift Up going forward. I do imagine that after its PlayStation 5 release, it'll ultimately come to PC sometime down the line. PlayStation and Sony are publishing this game, so I don't think it'll come to Xbox at any point in the future, but we've seen crazier. If we're talking about, you know, Gears of War and Halo potentially coming to PlayStation in the future, Stellar Blade on other platforms really is just scratching the surface in terms of craziness. But that'll do it for me. Super excited about everything we've heard about Stellar Blade over the last few weeks, and I really think anticipation and excitement is going to build as we get to April 26th, especially because we've got a lot of big games coming out. February stacked and March is stacked with Rise of the Ronin, as well as Dragon's Dogma 2. April isn't as crazy, man. I think Stellar Blade can come out in a period where there's not a ton of huge titles, and it can get a lot of attention in its own right, and I think it's going to do fairly well on that regard as well. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Let me know what you think about the game. Like, and again, I could understand if you see this game and you're like, 20 hours of gameplay, $70. Like, $70 for any game is going to be a hard sell. I get that. Like, that is pushing for a lot of people. Forspokens of the world, Immortals of Aveum, those games were egregious at $70, and it's gonna be a harder sell across the board when games are $70, and people are gonna pick and choose more so. But let me know if you're gonna pick it up day one, or if this is one maybe sometime in the summer when it gets discounted, you'll check it out then. Sound off with all of your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.